Title: M and his bratty kid accomplish the task of hurting, humiliating and almost getting me arrested over a Nintendo DS. I was talking with my friend about this experience and he told me to post it here. So enjoy my experience about me and this unbelievable Karen. First of all, I need to say that English isn't my first language, so there might be some grammar errors. Forgive me about it. This took place last year in the end of summer while I was waiting for my flight in the airport, after a vacation with my family in Italy. The airport was pretty empty that day, despite it was supposed to be traffic due to the big amount of people coming back from vacations. Anyway, I was playing with my Nintendo to kill time since my flight was late and I wanted to preserve my phone battery. I forgot the power bank at home. So me, 20, was quietly playing when this woman, who looked like 40 or younger, and his son, probably 10 judging by height, placed in front of me and started complaining about the flights being late and that she had business etc. I stopped listening to her because I put on my earphones in attempt to escape her complaining about this and that. I can't stand listening to complaining that doesn't concern me. Time passes and a notice comes out from the speakers saying that my flight was going to delay again. Sighing, I put back on my earphone and that's the moment where the show starts. M comes at me with his kid and asks me something. I remove my earphones and the conversation goes like this. M: excuse me? Me: yes? Do you need something, Mom? M: yes, please. You see, my kid, name, is getting very bored here. So I wondered if you could borrow him your video game to let him relax until our flight arrives. Nothing wrong till here, but you see, I don't trust random kids since every time I borrowed something to them, insert borrowed item, returned to me scratched, smudged, or even broken. So it was a no. I'm sorry for the little brat. The moment I said no, things started escalating. The tone of the woman changed from polite to arrogant and the volume had rose and the kid, who was giving me puppy eyes, started to give stink eyes. M: but why? You're not a kid anymore. You look like 25 or something and you still play video games. Why don't you give that toy to my son so he can kill some time? You don't need it this much. To be honest, if the kid would have promised to use it near me and returning it to me intact, I could have given up and letting him play. Because he was a kid after all. I know that they become nervous if they don't have anything to do for a while. But the very moment M started speaking arrogantly, she lost every hope with me. Listen, Mom, I don't borrow my stuff to strangers for a matter of principle. So, even if you were some famous person, my answer would still be no. Plus, I recommend to lower your voice because people are watching us. I didn't really check if people were watching us, but it was clear by listening to the volume of her voice that anyone would have looked toward us. M: well, raising her voice. I don't care if people are watching us. Even better, cause this way everyone will know how much selfish and childish you are. Not borrowing a stupid video game to a kid. The conversation was getting out of hand. I could feel the glares of the strangers in the airport looking at me thinking I'm some sort of monster, and instead of saying anything that could worsen the situation, I decided to keep calm and go on. Me: Mom, the only one acting childish here is you. Lower your voice before someone calls the security on you. M: the security will be called on you for being an absolute asshole, and when they will arrive I will have that stupid video game of yours be confiscated. You little shit. I was starting to lose my patience and I quietly say, almost grinding my teeth and still not moving from my seat. Me: This conversation is over. Please leave and don't show your face near me again. For your sake. I know that sounded like a threat, but the reaction was as cringe as hilarious. Are you threatening me? Oh, you are so fucked up. I'm going to report you for threats. I thought the conversation was going to end and that she was going to complain to the manager or something. Typical things that Karens do. It was the first time for me dealing with this type of person. Everything could be fine as long as she leave me alone, but the real heels start now. While I was putting my earphones back, the woman snatched them from me, and while I was going to say something, the little turd did something that changed forever my views about kids. In short, he came closer and spit in my shirt. I started seeing red. Me, you little shit, I say while I try to move away. The brat whipped my leg. Not trying to kick him or anything, screaming like crazy. Don't you dare hurting my son. After that sentence she tries to slap me, but I grab her by her arm promptly before her hand reach my face. If she had succeeded in slapping me, I swear I would have done something that I would have regret for years to come. She starts screaming and asking for help, even screeching that I was molesting her, and someone start moving in our way in attempt to stop the tumult. But that wasn't necessary because the little excuse for a human child does something I didn't even think kids were capable of. In terms of malignancy, he punched me in the nuts. That little shit with legs and arms was so malefic to punch a grown-up in the nuts. That kid was fully aware of the weak point of a male, yet he did it. Unbelievable. The pain does little except fueling the rage that was boiling in me. I must say, I am a very patient person and all. But when I lose my shit, I don't have any self-control, so it always ends up bad. And that was going to end very bad for both me and they. I stand up from the chair and push away the woman, which start demonstrating with her son there. Impressing acting skill. She rolls on the floor screaming, and the little turd has the courage to fake a cry while several people were getting close. I was confused, enraged, and shocked. I never dealt with someone who could be so malefic and shameless. I was literally speechless and frozen in place with my fists closed, in pain for the punch received in my sack. While standing still looking at the pathetic show she was giving, I feel someone grabbing my hands and handcuffing them. It was the security guard, who clearly misunderstood and judged by the last scenes. He then escorted me to a white room with nothing but a table and started asking me questions. After I calmed down, everything I answered to those questions was check the camera registration and you'll see. I was frustrated and angered. I didn't want to say anything at all. But I was thankful at the guard too for removing me from that place before I could get my hands on that woman. Something like 20 minutes passes and the guard comes back and hands me a bottle of water. He was an understanding person after all. Luckily. Guard, you can go. And forgive me for the cuffs. Your suitcases are in the other room. Would you like to press charge for aggression? I didn't want that bitch money and just wanted to go back home without further complications, so I refused, but I had to take a final satisfaction before taking my flight. The speakers announced that my flight was ready, so before I go I reach out the Karen and her son, who was standing in the seat I was earlier, quietly like nothing happened. I touch her kid in the shoulder and says, "Me, I think this belongs to you. You need it more than me," I say while bringing out the Nintendo. The moment I bring out the console, the little turd eyes became like cat eyes when they're in there dark, and her mother grinning in satisfaction as she thinks she obtained what she wanted. Hello, no. Little did she known. Before handing it to him, I snap it in 2 pieces, and I get a taste of their shocked faces. I dump the broken console on the legs of the little brat as I take my leave. hearing pointless talks in my back. It was the worst experience of my life. I made my discover that kids can be devils too, and I couldn't end giving it one to that pathetic woman and her show. Single mothers who thinks everyone must get the world upside down just because they say it. When I think about it, I get overwhelmed with anger and disappointment, but then I think about their sweet revenge. I still can't believe it, and when I read that there are other similar persons, my feels goes to whoever has to deal with these piece of shits.